Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to a perfectly acceptable evening in Scotland. Well, it's about that time. We need to start fixing all the damage on the outside. So before we start, let's take a look and see how much work there is actually to do. Now, full disclosure before we start, I am no panel beating expert, so some of this might be outside of my wheelhouse of expertise, so I may need to pay somebody to do it. But I'm going to try my level best to do it myself, with the help of my brother, before I pay somebody. So starting at the driver's side rear, we've got this muckle big dent here, which is going to need to be pulled back out again, and then we're going to have to sand it, and then we're going to have to fill what we can't pull back out and sand it flat. You've also got a dent right on that swedge there, which is going to be a nightmare. I think we might need to have to take out the rear lights and see if we can come at that from inside the car. And then, as you've seen 1,000 times before, we've got all of these scratches all the way down the car. You might not be able to see it on camera, but there's a dent there. There's a dent there where they've scratched it and then stabbed it, I think. And then the scratches go all the way along, right down onto the front bumper. So an absolutely gigantic amount of the car on this side is going to need sanded. And on the other side, as you can see, plenty of scratches on the rear quarter. But what's also weird about the rear quarter, and I'm not sure if it'll show on camera, but there's bubbles all the way through the paintwork. So I think what we're going to have to do is pretty much sand most of that rear quarter back, because when it gets repainted, the last thing I want is to see bubbles in the paint. Got a slightly smaller scratch all the way up here. You've then got all of this wonderful artwork, and as you can see, there's a dent on the swedge line there. There's also a dent further down there. The driver's side front wing has got a dent as well. And the worst one of the lot, if that wasn't bad enough, is this one, right on the sill. Now, there is no way that damage was caused by somebody vandalising it. Pretty sure that was caused by a forklift, because this van was non-movable when it got recovered. Or possibly at the auction yard. Now, in that box right there is a brand new, well-done dent puller. And it should be able to remove those big dents down there and all of that damage as well. So let's get this thing built and then we'll crack on. Right, so what you saw us do there, basically use the new dent puller to pull out all the major damage in the arch, sanded it all back, and then applied some catty. And while we're waiting on that drying, we took out the rear light so that we don't damage it when we're sanding. And the dent that we're going after now is this one in here, and there's also a dent there. And I must say, that dent puller is absolutely awesome. It's such a cool tool. A very welcome addition to the garage. So what we'll do now is we'll crack on, try and remove this as best as possible, and do the exact same process as we did to the arch, and then we'll come back, sand all this back flat. We may need to put another coat of catty on, but we'll wait and see how this one sands out. So let's crack on. Right, so that's the final coat of Ultima put down on all the bodywork on this side of the car. So we need to let that dry before we can sand it. So what we'll do just now is we'll move on to the other side of the car, because there's a couple of really nasty dents there. There's also this mess down here. So let's crack on with that, and then we'll jump back over to the other side, give that a final sand, and then move back around to this side and get some catty on this too. So you know the saying, you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs? Well, in order to pull that sail back out, we had to break a couple of eggs. And one thing I did find quite surprising was how thin metal this is. I genuinely thought it would have been a little bit more structural, but apparently not. Now we don't need to worry about the holes, because we can patch all them back up with the welder. That's no big deal. Grind the welds down, catty over the top. But the good thing is, we've now got the sill back in line with the door, which it wasn't before, and I was actually catching the bottom of the door every time you opened it. So that's pretty much good to go. It may look horrific, but it will look pretty by the time we've finished. The tiny little dent here is pretty much removed. Bit of catty, that'll be good to go. The dent up here, however, is a little bit more extreme than I thought it was. So that is definitely going to take a little bit more time to get right. On the other side of the car, the 3 dents in the door have had their final coat of Ultima, so they're good to go. They need gone over with some 300 grit, and then we'll prime them. And on this part of the car, it is getting there, but there is a couple of high spots that we're going to have to fix. So as you can see, when we were sanding this bit, this spot here is a little bit high compared to the rest, so I think we need to knock that down a wee bit more. And the arch is pretty much good to go. Like I say, it just needs sanded more. But unfortunately, in order to get a video out this week, that's going to be the end of this week's episode, guys and girls. I hope you liked it. In next week's video, what we're going to do is we'll get this side fully finished, all the repair work done, all the catty work done, get it in primer so it's ready for spraying, and we'll also get this side fully finished as well. And as always, I hope you're keeping well and I hope you're keeping safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.